Anybody on live? Cheers.
Lauren and Sydney are here.
Hello, OG Sydney.
OG Sydney.
Walt Disney Sydney.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that one.
She's in Disneyland now. She said
She's getting on Space Mountain soon. Oh my God,
Oh,
so fun.
That's great, Sydney, because tonight we're doing the story of that kid that got his head cut off on Space Mountain.
Stop it.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, stop. You're so mean.
That really happened.
The one in Florida?
Space
or the
Mountain's
one in...
the wooden one, right?
No, that's Thunder Railroad, I think you're thinking of.
Well, buckle up.
Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times.
Well, that's no fucking fun.
Unless you want to get it chopped off.
You gotta the Notebook that. The Notebook where he's climbing up the Ferris wheel.
Oh, yeah.
From what I heard, someone told me about that movie. Mm-hmm. I've seen it 1,000 times.
I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
Ow.
Well, remember in One Tree Hill, that was a big thing. Like, she notebooked him. Remember?
Yes, I remember.
I've been rewatching it a little bit lately.
The One Tree Hill?
Yeah, it's on HBO.
So good. Is it not on Netflix anymore? It was for a long time. Oh, I
yeah.
do have Mark's surprise shot, so I can go get that ready.
Alrighty, Mark, this is for you. This shot looks interesting. I'm intrigued by it.
I do not. It looks like Jell-O with Baileys on top of it, and I am not excited about this.
It is a layered shot.
No, coffee and whatever the shit that is does not mix. You can tell it doesn't mix by looking at it. The coffee is literally floating on top.
It's not coffee.
It's Bailey's. All right.
This doesn't mix. Literally. Chemistry. It doesn't mix.
It's more viscous. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
This is a special request for Mark. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, is that absinthe?
It was not absinthe.
Is that?
That is called the slippery nipple.
What the fuck?
It is a little bit of grenadine, which was optional, but I added it. Sambuca, and then Bailey's on top.
Actually wasn't bad.
It was actually pretty smooth for the licorice taste.
I prefer the hairy nipple.
Not the slippery. I mean, it's called the slippery nipple. Isn't there, there is a nipple shot that is really good.
Buttery nipple.
The buttery nipple, that's it. Yeah.
There's a lot of nipple shots. Why do men have nipples? Why do I have nipples?
Because
Can you milk me, Greg?
all humans are actually female before they are male.
Yeah, we talked about this. Because
You can get breast cancer.
Yeah.
Technically, men
Bull
can get breast
tits.
cancer.
You have
Yes.
breasts.
bull tits. Really?
Yeah.
No, I've got pecs, pectorals, Herculean
You can
pectorals.
still get breast cancer as a male.
Does Hercules ever get that stuff?
He is a god. He's a demigod, so.
I'm not sure.
All right. Tonight we are... Actually, why don't you read this? I want to preface this episode with this. This is from what you're reading now is from the BBC.
A Pakistani judge yesterday convicted a man of murdering 100 children and sentenced him to be strangled with an iron chain, chopped into pieces, and dissolved in acid in front of the parents of his victims.
Seems fair.
I mean, he murdered 100 children.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Sounds fair.
Eye for an eye.
I'm glad you said that.
Or
Hammurabi's code.
200 eyes.
Yeah.
That is not Hammurabi's code. Hammurabi is the one with all the laws, like the 100 laws.
Yeah, wasn't eye for an eye one of his?
Yeah, I guess
That came from the Bible.
Yeah, Hammurabi, I think, was first.
Which definitely wasn't plagiarized at all because it was from every other religion.
Careful, you gotta careful how we pronounce it because I almost said Harambe.
Actually, when I said it, I was like, am I saying the gorilla's name? I'm glad you said it.
No, it's
Hammurabi.
Hammurabi's code. The judge convicted the man of murdering 100 children and sentenced him to be strangled with an iron chain, chopped into pieces, and dissolved in acid in front of the parents of his victims. You mentioned something, an eye for an eye. Mm-hmm. If you're ever overseas in any place where there's Islam, Islam is the primary tradition, you have Sharia's law. And you know what that is? Can you tell us what that is?
It is like your punishment is equal to your crime.
There's also, with Sharia law, I looked up, there is another Islamic law that I haven't heard before, but this is what you heard, the 100 children, and he convicted them to be strangled with an iron chain. He convicted them to be strangled with an iron chain and chopped into pieces. The law is to do unto one as he is done to others type of thing.
The golden rule.
It's called qisas. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Qisas. It's an Arabic term. It means accountability, following up after pursuing or prosecuting. It means retaliation in kind, an eye for an eye. So that is an eye for an eye phrase, qisas. So this is common over there. Because obviously, I said last time, y'all understood that this wasn't an American story once I told you the judge. I mean, no judge in America could sentence anyone to that. That's,
I mean, that's like oddly specific. Because I think like you sentence someone to death, and then like death by lethal injection is how it is nowadays, right? I don't think any other place uses like the electric chair or anything. Still.
Firing squad.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of places that still do that.
I mean, in the U.S.
Oh, in the U.S., no, I don't think so.
So yeah, if that had me thinking we were going somewhere else.
But for this story, before we go any further, I need to point out there is some discrepancy between could the judge actually do this, because Sharia law, it is forbidden for an execution to be public. To be strangled with an iron chain, chopped into pieces, and dissolved in acid, yes, that goes under the qisas ruling. However, it's against Sharia law to have this taking place in a public execution spot. Although they do that all the time over there.
I was like, even here, injections
are private.
Yeah, but I think victims' families are invited.
Yeah, but that's still private.
Yeah, not like the public can go in and
It's not like
we're not in the town square.
Lynching someone down at the Charleston Market here.
Yeah. Like how
it's not public.
like Ted Bundy, everyone was waiting outside, like holding signs.
Well, but that's still private,
but again,
though.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like they couldn't go in and watch.
But this is saying it's in front of the parents of the victims, so that could.
Oh,
you know
okay,
what I mean?
yeah, okay, yeah.
Like it's kind of the same thing as what I think of.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I saw in one source about this case specifically that it was supposed to take place in the township. However, that actually I didn't realize that now. That was the thing that was probably was the discrepancy with the defense, I guess. In this case, obviously, a lot of the story is not in English.
Yeah, I would guess.
You know, I would never want to be an executioner.
I was like the low of society, right?
There's a documentary out there. If you want to look it up on YouTube, I think it's called like Great White Underbelly or some shit like that. I don't know, but it interviews I think he's Texas or Georgia. Maybe Georgia. A Georgia executioner. Not an executioner, but the one that pulls I guess executioner. The one that pulls the thing down to do the electrical chair. And he's killed hundreds. And they interview him. And it's not trying to make him look bad or good or whatever. It's just kind of it's like a social experiment or whatever. It's pretty crazy.
Like the Green Mile. That movie was about somebody he ran the electric chair.
Oh, yeah.
I never saw it.
It's a really good movie.
I know Tom Hanks is in it, yeah.
So that judgment is what we're going to be looking at tonight. However, I'm starting the story December 1999. A letter comes in. Anonymous letter was written and sent to the Pakistani police. And the letter specifically said the following. I'm going to read this. Quote from the letter. Quote, I have killed and raped over 100 young boys between the age of 6 to 16. My victims consist of orphans and runaway children who lurks at the street of Lahore, Pakistan, where I would bring them home so I could rape them and strangle them to death after murdering them. I will dismember their bodies and immerse them in vats of hydrochloric acid and then dump their bodies into a nearby river. And that was the extent of the letter. Obviously, it was anonymous. All right, so this letter also confessed that by the time that police receive this letter, he will be dead and gone because he would have drowned himself in the Ravi River. Now, police, they didn't just discount this. Now, this is Pakistani police. The Pakistani police, they didn't discount it. They actually launched one of the largest, probably the largest manhunt in Pakistani history. And what do you think how do you think they tried to find him? By
Schools and by the streets?
No. Think about the letter. He confessed that by the time they read it, he's going to be drowned in the Ravi River. So they netted that entire river multiple times, actually.
Okay.
Spent all this money, netted the river. No body was found. So they knew he didn't actually kill himself. They also knew that this was not just some kind of joke. They launched a manhunt after that once they didn't find his body, and they actually arrested a few teenagers.
Despite a manhunt in which dozens of people were detained, Iqbal eluded police for a month. He was arrested only after he walked into a newspaper office to give himself up. Quote, I am Javed Iqbal, killer of 100 children, he told staff. Quote, I hate this world. I am not ashamed of my action, and I am ready to die. I have no regrets. I killed 100 children.
Ugh.
That was from The Guardian, 17th March 2000. Every time I see the word regrets, I secretly want it to say regrets.
We're the Millers?
So they actually arrested a couple teenagers prior. Now, all of these teenagers are accomplices of this. Now, why do you think 100 children?
Is 100 a significant number?
No, but that's a really good guess. He actually, and I'll get to this, the main killer vowed to kill 100, no more, no less. He actually claimed he could have killed 400, but once he hit 100, which he did, he was going to stop. So he killed 100, sent the letter, and then I guess got cold feet, didn't drown himself.
But why 100?
I'll get to that in a minute. I just wanted you to think about it, like why, kind of. Anyway, all right, so these are the other accomplices. Describe these kids.
I mean, they're children.
Children, right? Teenagers.
They're like maybe 12.
I mean, look at the one in the middle. He's just like...
It's like, oops. Hee hee. Did I do that?
The tallest one, he looks maybe like 16-ish.
Yeah, 16, 17.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The 17 was his age. So they were all accomplices, but as you're about to see, in America, we wouldn't persecute them because they were...
like influenced?
Influenced. What's that word? Groomed. They were groomed. So he said 100 children, no more, no less. I'll be killing runaway children and kind of vagrant children. So that explains why 100 children disappeared, right? And the families didn't know. I mean, there was one, and the families are in distraught once they figure out that their kid is dead. But there was one woman that I saw in a paper that hadn't seen her kid for 2 months. This is a 11-year-old. It's just a different culture over there, man.
And she wasn't necessarily like concerned?
No, because she's living in the slums too. You know, that's one less mouth to feed at that point. You know, he can kind of fend for himself. It's a different culture altogether over there. I mean, the slums. But they arrest these gentlemen right here. 1 month later, a man walks into the local news station and he says that my name is Javed Iqbal, and I am the killer of 100 boys. This is him here.
So that's him in the background of that other picture. Can you go back? That's him there in that sweater.
Oh, yeah, good point. I didn't see that one earlier.
Is it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. With the glasses, yeah.
Same sweater.
Same sweater, yeah.
He is. Go.
Well, that one's black and white, and this one's in color.
It is the same fucking sweater.
It's the same guy, yeah, because he usually wears the glasses. Good point. I didn't see that earlier. I saw this photo as being presented in the context that they arrested these children first, and then 1 month later, this man, Javed Iqbal, walks in and says, I'm the one who's killed all these men.
Is that the same boy on his right, the far left of the screen, the tall one?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the same guy. All right, so let's talk about this guy.
I wonder, though, what he was offering these boys to help him.
Food, shelter, could be.
Now, they arrest this guy, Javed Iqbal, at his house, and this is in the slums. So they actually arrest him living in the slums. He says, quote, I did it to avenge an attempt on my life by my boys, the death of my mother, and injustice to society, end quote. He basically, in a nutshell, says that he killed 100 boys as reformation, as a payback to get back at the police for doing wrongdoing to him earlier, which we're going to get into.
So payback is to kill 100 people.
100 people, yeah, 100 kids, 100 orphan kids, or not, 100 runaways, vagrants. In May 1999, he started this killing spree. He was living in a slum. They raid his house. He's living in a slum, and police find vats of acid, human bones, and piles of children's clothes.
Oh, no. I don't like that.
Now, these were orphans mainly living in the streets of Lahore. They were raped, dismembered, and dumped in hydrochloric acid. And then by the time they get completely dissolved, the remains will be dumped into the local river, which, if you didn't know this, is also, in a lot of countries, a lot of cities like this, is also the bathing river. And even the river where the main water source. Definitely from where the animals drink. The livestock, the sheep, all that stuff. I remember going over there. No water in an entire village. This is Afghanistan, but no fucking water. No electricity. We went like 3 months without a shower. By like day 7, it didn't matter because everyone smelled the same. We actually walked down to the local river and bathed, I guess.
Oof.
And there's like these little sticky critter things that get like on your junk.
Like, you mean crabs?
No, I'm just kidding. There's no critters.
I like what Lauren's comment was, the Pakistani Dahmer.
Pakistani. Oh, man. I want to use that fucking title.
That's a good
title. But
title.
I came up with that.
No. Lauren gets credit for that one.
That is good. All right. There was also a note in his house, quote, the bodies in the house have deliberately not been disposed of so that authorities will find them, end quote. So at this point, you got to remember that he was thinking he would already be dead. He was going to drown himself into the local river.
But then he didn't.
Yeah. Well, they never do. Here you go.
Pictures and television footage of weeping parents poring over piles of children's clothes recovered from his home stunned Pakistani society, which began to question the depth of its concern for its vast impoverished underclass. Some of the victims had been missing for more than 6 months before their parents reported their disappearance to police.
Here's the parents right here of the children. Now,
He likes that sweater, doesn't he?
Yeah, he works all the time.
well, a lot of them wear the same clothes all the time.
Oh.
So the parents obviously here in distraught. And when he was arrested, he recants his whole confession. But yet, at his house, there's like bodies being dissolved in acid. What the fuck? Like what? Because he knows that eye for an eye. He was supposed to kill himself. Now he knows his
But
fucking...
he chickened out.
I know, but now he's going to get fucking dismembered and fucking put in a vat of acid. So I would too. I would fucking recant it. He said that the only reason he made it up is to shed light on the problem of so many vagrant kids. It's like, dude, you got...
Oh, he makes himself out to be a fucking hero.
You got hundreds of children's clothes and literally kids now being dissolved in acid. Like, dude, you did it, bro. Like, you didn't buy this kid being dissolved in acid at, you know, on eBay or something. This is something you did. All right, let's talk about this guy. Because I said he was found in a slum, and he was. However, he comes from a very, very rich family. This is the arcade that he was living in prior to the slum. Now, why do you think you would have an arcade?
To lure the boys.
There you go. This is a very Michael Jackson-y sort of case.
Also, like Pinocchio.
Did they have sex with boys there?
No, but they had, do you remember they had the Treasure Island, and they had the boys, they had the billiards, and then the boys turned into goats. And then
Honestly, Pinocchio scared me as a child.
It is very creepy.
I could only watch it like once. It really freaked me out.
Yeah.
And then he like gets eaten by the whale.
Yeah, it really scared me. That movie scared the crap out of me, actually.
But the guy lured the boys, and they were playing pool and smoking cigars, and then they turned into donkeys.
I'm a Pinocchio, but where it counts. My dick.
So when you lie,
When I lie.
when you lie to your wife, your dick gets bigger. Oh yeah, it's so big. Automatic. There
I'd
you
be
go.
like, is that thing shrinking back inside your body? This is going downhill. I really hope this Johnny Llama thing is going to take off, because this thing's going downhill. Johnny Llama's on the sinking ship too.
We're staying afloat.
Yeah, we're good. Ish. Well, that one advertiser did come back.
Oh, good.
So,
Good.
yeah.
That's good.
See, maybe he just ran out of money, so he invested some crypto, and now he's back because he loves us.
Maybe. But I don't want to get your hopes up, because he's probably going to just bounce out of here.
Hey, while he's investing, this is where suddenly we're back to 3 episodes a week.
I know. We have one guy that wants to advertise for our fucking podcast. No one else wants to touch it.
All right, we're gonna next week 3 episodes.
And it's some fucking shitty colon.
Sorry, if you have Crohn's disease, this is the podcast fucking for you.
So
dude.
if you hear a bunch of like colon, what's Crohn's disease? That's like colon, right?
No,
Yeah, it's a digestive issue.
gastrointestinal. But Lauren says neither of them are sinking, for fuck's sake. So thank you, Lauren.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lauren. I needed that.
He's on the boat with us playing the violins.
Yeah, Lauren, you need to open your eyes.
There's no pity party allowed when we're doing this.
No,
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
true.
pitying.
That's true. All right, let's talk about this guy. Javed Iqbal Mughal. He was a pampered child, extremely wealthy upbringing, had everything he wanted, everything that you can get. His father was a wealthy businessman. And later, this guy, Javed, would be pampered. He would get everything he want. And somewhere in his childhood, in his teenage years, to be exact, from what he says, he began, quote, keeping a brigade of teenage boys around him. A brigade. People having a firsthand experience of knowing Iqbal termed him a, quote, boy hunter who would go to any extent to satiate his love or his lust for sodomy. He was a self-proclaimed pervert since he was a teenager. In fact, when he was a teenager, he started, because he's got many ways to lure children. The first way he found that he could lure children was on a motorbike. And he was a teenager with his nice bike. No one else had any bike. Oh, so over in these countries like Pakistan, a large percentage of the population rides motorbikes. Mm-hmm. We call them Haji Davidsons. That's what we call them. They come in a box. You actually assemble them yourself. It's like
IKEA, but for motorbikes.
But they all ride the same ones. Because the thing about it is like fucking desert, you know.
Crotch rockets?
No, not crotch rocket. Like they're almost like
dirt bikes.
Dirt bikes, but not. They're like dirt bikes mixed with Harley kind of thing. You know, they're motorbikes. Most people ride them over there. In the rural areas, you'll never see a woman by herself in most areas, especially not riding by herself. You'll always see the woman on the back. So, you know, I've seen a lot of that from where I was anyway. This guy was a self-proclaimed pervert as a teen. He would drive around in his 200cc motorbike, approach children, and he would have some luck with it. However, this guy's rich, and he loves little children a lot. So he can do anything he wants, and he has several different methods. One of the most effective ones he's had was to make friends through these children magazines. So think of like the Highlights magazine.
I was just gonna say Highlights.
Highlights. You go to the dentist's office and there's like the Highlights magazine.
Yeah. So he's like got an advertisement in there?
Yeah, he's putting advertisements in them for children, basically saying,
would you like some candy? Right?
Exactly. They would write to him, and then he would gain their trust. He would actually bond these friendships and spend thousands of rupees. This story's all in rupees, which is, I looked up the ratio now. A rupee is 2 rupees equal $1, pretty much. So that's how that equals out nowadays.
Is that with or without inflation?
That's nowadays. So I don't know. I didn't look up the historical, but I do know it's about half. Anyway, he would spend thousands of rupees sending gifts like perfumes, tickets to the local arcade or whatever, and stuff like that. That was one of his best ruses. Now, a little bit about the background. Iqbal was the 4th son, the sixth child. His father, Muhammad Ali Mughal, was a wealthy trader. He started his own business in 1978, and he studied at Islamia College. He bought 2 little villas. One of these villas is the one you're seeing now. That's the inside. I'll show you the outside here in a second. It's really nice. And he let his son Iqbal stay in one permanently. Iqbal was the black sheep, right, of the family. All the other boys, successful, marrying women type of thing. Because there's like in this society that he was in, his culture was arranged marriages usually. But over there, if you guys aren't familiar, and there's just type in this word, there you would be shocked at how much this happens. It just happened like a couple of days ago a TikTok star in Pakistan killed, honor killing or whatever. What I'm trying to say is very strict, no disgrace to your family type of thing. You definitely aren't sodomizing little boys if you're coming from a wealthy background and your dad's a wealthy trader. That is not happening. Okay, that is definitely not happening. So what I'm trying to say is all the other brothers were doing the right thing. However, he was a brat, right? He didn't want to work kind of shit and just, okay, I'll stay in this villa. His father basically put him in this villa and just told him to be quiet. They did arrange some marriages for him, which he did follow through, and we'll talk about in a second. He did try to start his own steel recasting business, but I don't think that it went very far. I think that he was getting all of his finances from his father, from what I saw. However, in the villa, the father did find out that there were several boys living there, a brigade of boys, which he was paying, with perks, right? Food or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's lived there with multiple boys for several years. The family found out about this and the boys living there. They basically tried to disown them, but also keep it under the rug because they don't want it to come out because it had tarnished the father's reputation. They arranged him a marriage. And this, for several years, he was refusing to follow through the arranged marriage until they kind of forced his hand. They said, we're going to cut you off everything and you're going to be completely disowned from the family. And disowning a family member over there is permanent. We're going to disown you. So finally, he basically stuns everybody by saying that he will not go through the arranged marriage, but he will select a bride himself. Okay, and he did. And he got married. However, she was the elder sister of one of the boys that he has been raping for several years. Quote, the purpose was to stop the boy from deserting him, end quote. Family found out. Marriage called off quietly. Another marriage arranged. This time, it was the younger sister of one of the boys, a boy named Muhammad, that he was raping. And this marriage, once that was found out, became public, and he was actually arrested for the first time for sodomy. This is from The Guardian. Quote, apart from his family business, everything Javed Iqbal did was aimed at luring boys. He opened a video game shop, and this is it right here. Yeah, Lauren from Live Chat says, John Wayne Gacy lured kids in with his parties and game room. Yeah, exactly. He did that. I remember that now. Mm-hmm. Did the same thing. Same thing. Yeah, crazy. I think that's the only one else we covered that did that, would lure boys in like that. I don't know. I think so. But Gacy was known for doing that. You remember? It was a long time ago when we did that story. Apart from his family business, everything Javed Iqbal did was aimed at luring boys. He opened a video game shop, the first of its kind in Shagba, and would offer tokens to boys at reduced rates, and in some cases free of cost. He was losing money on the arcade so he could to lure the boys in. He would actually throw money on the floor and turn his back, wait till several boys or one boy in particular picks up the money. He would take him to the back room and interrogate him. He is the adult now, 20s, and this is a 12-year-old. So he used the adult power to interrogate him, check his pockets, and then he would rape him right there as a punishment. Then usually, if he felt bad from what he confessed, which was sometimes, he would give the money back to the boy and let him go play arcades. Which I don't know would they even, I guess they would just continue playing. Rape over there of boys is a lot more, I wouldn't say natural, but a lot more occurring than over here.
Isn't it more like a...
It's like a cultural bullying thing.
Yeah, like the kite... Did you read the
Kite Runner?
Kite Runner, yeah. So Kite Runner, if you read that book, So it's not accepted, but it is like a form of bullying.
Yeah.
It's terrible, you know? And when I was in Afghanistan, the more corrupt out, and you can't ever, this is what's frustrating. If you see a boy getting obviously raped or groomed or whatever, it's their culture. You cannot step in. It's just, even if it makes you sick to your stomach, you can't step in because it's their culture. You know what I'm saying? But it's a wrong culture. They know they're doing wrong, but still, you never step in. But in a lot of cases, the elders in the villages that we were going to, they had 4 wives. Everyone has 3 or 4 wives. They would actually get these chai boys, which is so weird. They would come to these meetings, and they were like preteen boys, 9, 10, and they would kind of dance like strippers. It's really weird. To us, is really fucking weird because they're like little boys dancing, and they would, pleasure these old men.
I don't like.
They're called chai boys. I don't know. In fact, one guy told me over there that I would fetch more money than any female. So.
Good for you.
Good
he
for
was
you,
like,
John.
if we were to kidnap you, you would get more money. I was like, sweet, that's good to know. Shit.
Good for you, John.
All right, let me see.
He's like, okay, let me get back on track here.
His parents soon figured out the arcade thing, so he closed it and opened a fish aquarium in fucking Pakistan in the desert.
Yeah.
Fucking fish.
I mean, was that a good tourist attraction?
No, that actually did not work at all. No boys came to that. Then he tried to open a gym, which also failed. Next, he just said, fuck it. No boys are going to my aquarium. No boys want to work out. I'm going to open a school for children called the Sunnyside School. And there are other children's schools around here. How am I going to compete? I'll be the only one with air conditioning. That worked for a little bit. And then the parents realized that he was sodomizing their children, and then everyone stopped coming. So now the public, after the school incident, the public knows. This is not a good thing.
Yeah, but he's like still out in action. Like, so everyone knows.
His father, his whole family is extremely wealthy too. So think about it, the economics, like how much business is the father, taxes and stuff generating for the little what do you call it, parish or whatever, community. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the reason why he went so long, but dude, you open up an arcade, a fish aquarium, a gym, and then a middle school called the Sunnyside School just to sodomize boys, and you're still not arrested. He also, remember, he was wealthy. He was in good favor with the police. And this is fucking crazy. This guy actually publishes a monthly crime magazine, a true crime magazine, with the sole...
Well, that's fucking ironic.
Isn't it ironic?
Dude, I've dug pretty deep for this shit.
True crime Pakistan, and he's like putting himself on the fucking cover.
No. Oh, yes. No. All right. He did this with the intention, and it kind of worked. He was also paying off cops, but the magazine featured mostly anti-corruption crime.
Oh, my God.
And focused on the heroics of local police officers. So he basically bolstered them all up.
Don't come attack me now.
Fucking crazy, man. He would interview these cops and make them seem all like, oh yeah, I guess I am pretty fucking awesome. His father dies in 1993. He got about 4 million rupees. He builds a large house in this is his father's villa. I couldn't find the house yet. I'll find that later and put it on the blog, but
oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, no fucking shit. In Pakistan, that's like a fucking Putin mansion over there, yeah. Look at that shit.
Yeah.
It's got a wrought iron gate on it.
Yeah.
Where are you, there irons? Is that even a thing over there? I'm just kidding.
Apparently.
You remember we did that island story, the North Sentinel Island?
Yeah.
they actually went into the Iron Age after that ship crashed that had iron on it. And that's how they go into the Iron Age.
Crazy.
Anyway, sorry, I'm off track. I know you guys. His father dies in 1993, gets a large inheritance. He builds a large house in Ronatown. And in 1995, the house had like an outside swimming pool. He's often seen driving. Now, he's publicly sodomizing children. He would go with his brigade. He's like a Michael Jackson. Everyone was looking the other way, but at the same time, there's a lot of kids following him. But no, or you know what I'm saying? Or like an R. Kelly thing, like little girls following him type of thing. Mm-hmm. No one really says anything because he's like rich. No one, you know what I'm saying? Same sort of thing. He's protected. He would often be seen driving a 5-door Pajero, which I looked up. It's like a SUV of sorts, like a Lexus, with 5 or 6 young boys. He owned about 5 different cars. He moves again to Jazazabad, and he opens a video game shop. This is right before his downfall, right before the murdering happens. The downfall happens on September 1998. This is the motive for all the killings. And the details on the actual killings are not there. There's no photos besides little stuff here and there. It's crazily, I don't know why it's protected or not leaked or something, but I guess they just didn't release it. It's fucking Pakistan. You thought they wouldn't care. Russia fucking leaks that shit, right? Anyway, so he opens up another game shop. September 1998, while he was in his video game store with some of his boys that he was sodomizing, he was beaten unconscious. He spends weeks in a hospital. He was actually in a coma. He almost died. He wakes up, and when he wakes up, he realizes that all of his assets were sold.
Whoa.
He suspects that the police did this, which, let's be honest, they did, right? He couldn't prove it, but going back to the reason he vowed to kill 100 boys.
So he hadn't killed anybody until then?
No, yeah, he hadn't killed anybody. He's just been raping boys. He hadn't killed anybody since then. Huh. So then we go back to the sentencing. Pakistani judge said that he should be sentenced by strangling with an iron chain, chopped into pieces, and dissolved in acid in front of the parents of his victims, which they do know that he killed. We think that he killed 100. However, no one knows because most of them were dissolved and kind of slushied into the local river, right? But then again, he said he would stop at 100 and then kill himself. So,
But he couldn't kill himself, but he did stop at 100.
From what he says, yeah. And he claimed that he could have done up to 400. Now, he did confess, he said he would dunk them in acid, pouring their remains into the gutters. This is from the Sun Sentinel of the central Pakistani city of Lahore. And he was convicted with 3 other defendants, the ones that you saw in the photo earlier. All right, here it is. October 8th, 2001, Iqbal and Sajid Ahmed were, after they were awaiting their death, because apparently this thing was going to go through. Although it was highly debated whether it should go through, if the judge even had the power to do that with Sharia law and stuff like that. However, on October 8th, Javed Iqbal and Sajid Ahmed were found dead, hanging in their cells in the prison, awaiting for execution. The defense actually exhumed their bodies, did an autopsy, and saw that both of them were beaten severely. So they think was obviously one of those situations.
Yeah.
However, it was never proven. No one got in trouble for that at all. Other details are pretty scant on this case. Any questions?
So the sentencing, is that actually how he died?
Maybe I just told you he was hanging from a cell. I just told you him and one of his accomplice, the boy in the picture, I believe the older boy, was found hanging in their cells by bed sheets. They basically had fashioned nooses from their bed sheets. If you want to believe that, most people would believe that they were beaten and then strung up like that because the autopsy does show they were severely beaten. However, no one really got in trouble for it. So October 8th, 2001, they were found hanging. So they were already dead.
Interesting.
Yeah. Other than that, man, that's pretty much all the details you're going to get on that one.
That's wild.
He says, quote, I have no regrets. I killed 100 children. I was denied justice. I could have killed 500. This was not a problem. Money was not a problem. But the pledge I had taken was of 100 children, and I never wanted to violate this, he said. That is from BBC.
I mean, he could have made a pledge to kill 0 children, but
yeah,
I know.
That's probably asking too much.
So the thing that got him wanting to kill children, the arcade situation, quote, I was so badly beaten that my head was crushed, my backbone broken, and I was left crippled. Later he said, quote, I hate this world. My mother cried for me. I wanted 100. Oh, this is it right here. This is what I was looking for. My mother cried for me. I wanted 100 mothers to cry for their children. He wouldn't have killed 100 boys had it not been he was a pedophile of boys, right? I mean, yeah, he may have killed 100 people, but he killed boys because that's what he's used to. And there were boys at his house.
Yeah.
You know.
He's a predator.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Bottom line.
Any questions?
How did you find that story?
Yeah.
This one, I can't remember. This has been on my list for a while, actually. I kind of wanted to do, like, I like doing these stories that are overseas that no one has really done. Even though Lauren, I think, or somebody said that they have heard this story before, but I don't think a lot of people have done this. If they have, then, you know, I mean, I do like looking at these old newspapers and stuff. I love doing that. And a lot of these stories, I try to go to the original source and just Google translate it, which y'all know usually doesn't come out all the way correctly. But I feel like, I don't know, like when I'm there doing that, kind of puts me there, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to find out more about this guy, but there's a couple books written and there's like a couple documentaries. None of them even had subtitles in English. So for this, I use BBC, which is the most reliable source. BBC and The Guardian for a lot of the overseas cases, the most reliable sources you're going to get. Any American newspapers is just pulled from the Associated Press, which is kind of like the, you know, generic copy or whatever. But that, and because there's not very many Pakistani news sources out there, to be honest, that I could find anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, to answer your question, I've had it on my list forever. I think I may have found it in one of those books, like 500 serial killer books that I got. You know, the ones.
Yeah.
You know, there's 2 big ass books.
The volumes, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I found like the Stone Man murders and remember that ape story we did? Not the gorilla, but I can't even remember his name. Anyway, I'm freaking tired. All right. I'll see you guys later, man.
All right.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. My name is John. I'm sitting here with Jen and Nicole. This is Talk Murder Me podcast. Go to talkmurder.com. Comment on the post. See all the photos. Yada, yada, yada. You can also follow my new thing at Johnny Llama. Anyway. And you can follow Jen too. All right, guys. And until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.